What's your chazan? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this is a sort of a project. It's a big project which I like to do. Hopefully, we'll succeed in covering a lot. But I want to just go through the different Hasidic Rebbes and get a taste of each one, a little about their story, a little bit of history, and some of the texts of their teachings. This is important for many reasons. One of them being it's important to understand the multiplicity of languages and of paths within the Hasidic movement. I think that helps people more find their personal path. If you understand there's quite a few of them out there, and quite contradictory teachings even sometimes. For example, in Karlin, the big thing is to shout during davening, and that's you go in there and start booming. And Chabad was the opposite. It was very quiet, very think about things, and it's the opposite. But that exists too, and it's important to see that, just be able to choose from each one. And also a little bit, it's important to understand the history of Chassidus, sort of to put it in a context, because I think it's important to understand that when we learn Chassidus, we're not necessarily trying to reproduce the same people that were going on in those days, because 30 years ago, there's no way we can just go into a time warp and just be Measure-Bush and just be like a cool chassid from Measure-Bush. That's not in our capability. We have to be, who we are today as students of the Baal Shem Tov, as students of the great Hasidic teachers. But for this reason, knowing a little bit of the history, which gives it a context, can also help us say, okay, what does that mean in our context? I'm not claiming to say that I'll be able to do justice to this thing, but I just want to touch on it a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about how the generations leading up to the Baal Shem Tov, like into what context the Baal Shem Tov came into. So there's a couple things going on. First of all, there's this, which is probably this is a famous depiction of pre-Hasidic Judaism, is that there's the Talmidei Chachamim, who are very scholarly, and there's the regular people, and there's like the divide between them. Okay, that's probably true, but I think so. simplistic description. There's more to it. More importantly, I'm trying to say is that this model of this righteous people doing miracles and being this tzaddik to look at existed before the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov was coming after a long line of people like that. If you look in Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan's book, I think it's his book Kabbalah and Meditation, he brings the traditions of secret tzaddikim who had these like secret groups, and there were sort of like prototypes for this thing. Even in the Gemara itself, you already see this sort of distinction, two different archetypes of what does it mean, holy people. There's the scholar, who most of the people in the Gemara are, and there's another image of like this tzaddik who doesn't really teach much, but he's as his personality, he does wonders. And it says for example of that is Chanina ben Dosa. Okay, Chanina ben Dosa is one of the Tanaim. You hardly have anything from him as far as things he taught. The only thing we see in Pirkei Avot, he talks about something about having yirat shamayim, having fear of heaven. But as far as stories, it's full of stories and miraculous stuff. Like he's a story about the person who he held the chickens for the guy, and he sold them, and they gave the guy back the goats. Remember that? Talking about the laws of lost objects. Shechem ben Dosa found chickens, and then he raised them, and they had baby chickens, and then he sold them, and he got goats. And he gave the guy back his goats. It's an example we talked about before of a chassid that goes beyond. But also you see this paradigm in the Gemara, but there's two types of great people, and they're it's okay. It's okay if there's more than one model. There's the model of the learned person who teaches, and there's the model of just like someone who's like exuding righteousness, and you look at them in that way.
Okay, so yeah, what I don't quite understand is before the Baal Shem Tov, you had Rebbes who had their followers, right? Like the Ari in Sfat, you had.
Right.
So how is that different?
Right. How's that different? First of all,
or like the Gemara, they'd have the
students. Right. What's the difference? See, classically, students is something very, very specific. Somebody you study with, somebody who teaches you specific Torah. Okay.
And a follower.
Right. Followers, which is actually not so much in the Baal Shem Tov's generation. It's more generations afterwards. We had these courts, developments of courts and whole communities around one person, and not everybody in the community necessarily learned something specific from this Rebbe. It was more part of his group, which was sort of something which didn't exist so much before, and again, it's not something which existed in the Baal Shem Tov's lifetime so much. Something which more developed later. But like I'm saying, the Arizal and his students was also a model of this. They were learning actual text. They're learning the Arizal's Kabbalah, but also has this. There is if you look in the stories of the book called Shivchei HaBesh, which is called the Shivchei Ari, praises of the Ari. All these amazing stories, miraculous stories. How the students would walk in and Arizal stood up and the student said, "Why are you standing up?" For the student says, "Oh, I see you did a mitzvah today, and the soul of the tzaddik is now attached to him as a result of the mitzvah." So I stood up. All these type of stories, those stories that had a plague of locusts was coming into Tzfat and was going to destroy all the fields, and they came to Arizal and he said, "Okay, you got to go down to the edge of the town. There's a little broken down building over there, and there's the Talmud Chacham who's very big and no one's taking care of him. He's very poor, doesn't know what to eat. So go take care of him quickly, and the locusts will go away." Stories like that. But still, even the Arizal, even after all these stories, the main influence is more the teachers. the main influence for later generations of the Arizal is the teachings that were disseminated from originally from Eretz Israel, then brought to Europe, then these little schools of Kabbalists developed in Europe. And then a little bit after that came the whole story of Shabtai Tzvi, which was very much based on.
He predated.
Shabtai Tzvi was in the 1660s. Okay.
The
Arizal was before that. Arizal was in 1500s. So, the mid 1500s. So, with Shabtai Tzvi was very much based on Kabbalah, and also, he was Mekubal. Even bigger Mekubal than him was a student, Natan of Aza. He was a very big Talmud Chacham Mekubal, a very pious person, and that's sort of the whole movement took off with the power of Kabbalah and the power of charisma, power of some mysterious stuff. And when things started falling apart, that caused a reaction among certain circles against Kabbalah. Again, because they saw how much damage that can do. At the same time, like the people who were somewhat followers of Shabtai Tzvi or maybe sympathizers continued on. And one interesting thing which characterized them was very often they were very ascetic people. And fasts, tons of fasts, because the idea behind it was sort of Mashiach's coming any minute, we've got to do the final tikkunim, so let's fast a whole bunch and make sure so that was bring out Mashiach.
So is it forward followers of Shabtai?
Yeah, or maybe secret followers, or maybe not even, maybe they're the students of the followers, meaning it's sort of a certain line of like a lineage where sort of developed into these very righteous people, very pious people, learning Kabbalah and fasting a lot.
So does the teaching and lineage continue that?
Yeah, it's a whole big discussion exactly what's called the Sabbatean. I mean, some people didn't even actually believe in it, but were just part of that social milieu. But and these people also were sort of in this model of like this tzaddik type of people, not so much your scholars. There was the whole base medrash in a town called Brody, it was a big Jewish town, which wasn't Sabbateans, but it was Mekubalim pre-Baal Shem Tov Mekubalim who still have books from them. They did very, very intricate Kabbalah and Kavanot, and it was very, very high level Kabbalah.
Where's Brody?
Poland. And so these things were going on before the Baal Shem Tov, and so that's sort of a topic in itself, but sort of to show how this sort of this problematic type of a model of Shabtai Tzvi sort of something was going on before the Baal Shem Tov, and in a certain way, the advent of the Baal Shem Tov sort of put an end to it and started something new.
I heard that he was also in
so that's
circle.
Yeah. So he did receive from people before him. Again, I mentioned it before that as far as actual cold facts, what happened to Baal Shem Tov, we have very little. There's this man named Dr. Rosenman. He went to the Polish archives in Mezhebush, and he found a tax list, and he found someone's called Dr. Baal Shem. So he actually found like an actual physical,
People were saying that, wasn't it?
Yeah, but and there's a letter written by the Baal Shem Tov, which maybe I'll read you soon. But when he writes to a student when he went there to Israel. But as far as actually what happened to him in his life, it's sketchy. We have a lot of stories, but not clear which of the stories are accurate, which ones are not. But so one thing's clear, that something changed. There's some sort of dramatic change, and it's a sort of mysterious thing. Something changed. We don't know exactly what happened. We don't even know exactly how to characterize it.
I heard also that was the Khmelnytsky massacre that also
Well, the Chmielsky massacre happened before Shabtai Tzvi. Tach v'tach. Tach was the year. It's 370 years ago. So it's before. It's in the early 1600s. That was the. Anyway. So what is it? What is it about the Baal Shem Tov which changed Judaism? Changed, gave such renewal to Jewish living. So I don't know the answer, but there's a couple of things. One thing about the Baal Shem Tov, which is interesting, just about his life, he was like a healer. Okay, that's how he made his living. Went around from town to town to get his, herbs and amulets and stuff like that. And there were people like that. A lot of people. It was like a accepted position in Jewish society, like being a healer. Many different Baal Shems, and what's the difference between a healer and a sort of a thinker? Thinker is above. He's thinking about things. But a healer has to actually heal people. You have to help people. You don't help people. You're not a healer. So I think that in some way explains what's going on with the Baal Shem Tov. Meaning, one of the traps we fall into in Torah is that it's something in the brain. It's nice to think about and talk about, but will it actually change people? Will it actually help people? Will that actually be transformative? That's sort of healer's thinking. What do you actually do? What to actually do? And therefore, even though Baal Shem Tov doesn't have writings, all we have is the letter, but we have the teachings of his students, which is primarily Rabbi Yaakov Yosef of Polnaya, who wrote a book called Toldos Yaakov Yosef, of the first Hasidic Sefer. And in there, he brings a whole bunch of times. Shamati Mimori, I heard from my teacher. That's where we see the different teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. And generally, it's practically focused. It's like what can you do to connect to Hashem? It's not like fancy explanations of things.
It's from Kabbalah.
It's Kabbalah focused, but it's not. But even the thing. One of the changes that happened from Kabbalah to Chassidus is that it became more personal focused. Kabbalah, you can be professor of Kabbalah and you can see these big charts of what comes from what, and which world is in which place, and it's like it's learning cosmology of some sort. But in Chassidus, that's not the point. The point is in the person itself. How do I change? How do I bring Hashem into me? And another very important element in the Baal Shem Tov which is somewhat related, is that if you read the Torahs of the Baal Shem Tov, you see it's totally positive. From beginning to end, it's all positive. It's so unusual to have a teacher who's so positive.
It's less fear of Hashem.
It's not less fear, but in more ahava, more desire, more love. It's very unusual in that sense. Since a certain harshness, a certain it's not necessarily a bad thing. The harshness is part of fixing ourselves, but it's very you can feel there's ahava over there. Yeah, it's one of the stories they say about the Baal Shem Tov is that when he was a child, his father was passing away. Probably heard this. He became an orphan at a young age.
He would take the students into the woods.
Before that, it says his father told him on his deathbed, he says, "Don't fear anybody but God." That's what he told him. And then he took this to heart, and he used to go to the forest and walk around himself, and wasn't afraid of the wild animals.
And to communicate with
Yeah, that could be too. I mean, but I think that the point I'm trying to say is that it's very much based on not being afraid. You know, and in Torah, it's based on not being afraid. It's much healthier Torah. It's much positive. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
And not be afraid because Hashem is with you, or
yeah. You know, because he's running the show. You know, I just, instead of me talking too much, let me read a little bit from that letter. So we'll see. This is really.
And the Baal Shem Tov was where?
Well, then it was called Podolia. Podolia is like Ukraine, Moldova area today. Rebbes today is in Ukraine. Carpathian Mountains. That's where he's buried. Yeah, Rebbes. What's the name? Let's find the letter. By the way, just if you're interested in the Baal Shem Tov, there's a very good book in English by Menachem Kalish. You know Menachem Kalish? He translated a big portion of the Baal Shem Tov's teaching into English. A good translation with footnotes.
It's also my friend Yitzhak Buxbaum did a book on the Baal Shem Tov.
Oh yeah, he did a very nice book with stories. Very nice, very very well written. I mean, he took the liberty of sort of fixing the stories and sort of like literary, you know, permission to change the stories a little bit, but it's very nice. It's a very nice book. You know, but the other book on the one I was talking about, the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. Hi, and love you too. Yeah, so if you want to see it in English, it's very much recommended. I think it probably has it. There we go. I'm trying to find the letter.
What book do you use?
This is called Baal Shem Tov.
Your students.
Baal Shem Tov al Torah. Ta-da. See how it glows? No, so the Baal Shem Tov himself didn't write anything. This is collected from the students. Like I said before, the main student was Tolu Sefer Yosef. Other students also. And the Maggid of Mezrich also. And there's lots of oral traditions I went down. One of the interesting things is that there's more than one person in the history of Chassidus that sort of never met the Baal Shem Tov, but yet considered the Baal Shem Tov to be like the Rebbe, like a really close Rebbe. I mean, that's part of the mystery of the Baal Shem Tov, but it's like this mystery. And like people even who never met him, it's like were students of the Baal Shem Tov. It's like there's two prime examples of that. The one was the Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac of Kamarna. The Kamarna Rebbe was a big Kabbalist Rebbe, and he tells his stories and teachings of Baal Shem Tov which are not clear, which are things which he actually heard. He actually got into tradition, or something which sort of he had in some sort of vision. And also, Yosef Yitzchak, the previous Lubavitch Rebbe, also was very, very big on the Baal Shem Tov, particularly on this thing about the preciousness of simple Jews, and he was very big on that. He told many stories. Anyways, I'm trying to find this. Where is the letter? Here. Okay, so Baal Shem Tov at one point decided he's going to Eretz Yisrael. Okay, part of that they say that at the same time in Eretz Yisrael was living the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, the Chaim ben Attar, the Sephardi Kabbalist, was also a person of great love. Yeah, there's this thing that both of them together would somehow bring Mashiach. And Baal Shem Tov went on a trip with his daughter and his son-in-law through Turkey to Eretz Yisrael, and had all sorts of adventures in the way. And he realized that he wasn't meant to go, so he came back. But on his trip to Eretz Yisrael, he writes a letter to his student, Yaakov Yosef of Polnaya. Okay, and he published it in his book. And this historians say this is the one text that we know is from the Baal Shem Tov.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. So I'm going to read you what he says over here. So like this: Rosh Hashanah, Shna Taf Kuf Zayin, Asiti Hashba'at Aliyat Neshama Ke'edu Lecha. On Rosh Hashanah, on the year Taf Kuf Zayin, I made a Aliyat Neshama. Taf Kuf Zayin is 1640. Sorry, yes, 1647. No, 1747. I did a Aliyat Neshama. It's in the stories of Baal Shem Tov, you see this a lot. That he had a mystical practice of ascension of the soul. Okay, he would just disappear, go up someplace and see, not physically disappear, but the soul would go up and he would see things. Variti dvarim niflaim b'mar'eh. I've seen amazing things. Ma shelo ra'iti ad heina, things I've never seen. Yom omdi al dati, from the day I've become an adult. The asher ra'iti ba'alotin, things which I saw when I went up. L'sham bilti efshar l'saper. I can't even say it. Udaber afilu pe'al pe', even face to face, I'm not going to be able to tell you all the things that I saw. However, b'chazirati legan Eden התחתון ראיתי שכמה נשמות החיים והמתים הידועים לי שאינם ידועים לי בלי שיעור מספר ברצו ושוב לעלות מעולם לעולם דרך העמוד הידוע על ידי חן. When I was going back down, I saw many souls of dead people and of living people. And there's this place where they go up and down. It's something called the Amud, where souls elevate and go up and down. And in the Gemara also, it's souls going up and down. Right? There was a great joy amongst them. And it would be such an amazing joy. And he says many evil people did tshuva and had their sins forgiven among these people that I saw. And they said, stay with us. Stay with us. You'll help us out. Stay with us here. So I said, stay with us and go up with us. We're all going up to come up with us. So I said, okay. So I went up with them. And then over there, I've seen that the Sitra Achra is planning bad things for the Jewish people, and I was very upset about it. And then he said, Bikashti mi mori v'rabi, and I asked for my teacher to go with me. This is the whole thing. The Baal Shem Tov's teacher was like a soul teacher. It wasn't a teacher in the human body. It was a soul of Achia Shiloni, or someone from Tanakh who he connected with. And then he has Aliti Madrega, Archa Madrega. I went up higher level. I came to the room of where Mashiach is sitting, learning Torah with all the Tanaim and all the righteous people. And there too, I saw great joy. And I asked him, what's this joy? So he said that it's a great pleasure for them when I am miyached yichudim, when I make unifications through the Torah of all these people that they taught. I'm learning their Torah and making unifications. And then he says, but I still don't know until this day what exactly they were happy about. This is another. This idea of yichudim, also a very big thing in the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov. The Arizal already taught about yichudim. Thank you very much. So in the Arizal, yichudim are types of meditations on words, certain words and gematrias, usually divine names, combination of divine names, which ideas serve to, through concentrating these things, to actually make changes in the spiritual world. And in the Arizal also, it also causes revelation to the person. Like, for example, Arizal sent his students the Chai Vital, the main student of Arizal, writes his experience about. The Arizal sent him to a certain grave. Go to this grave and then do this following meditation, and you'll get like a big revelation. So he went and did it once, and nothing happened. Went back to his Rebbe and he said, "Oh, you're doing it wrong. You this part you a little bit wrong." He tweaked what he was doing, and he went back and the Chaim Vital describes this like unbelievable experience of like him totally losing control of himself, and things happening to him, and this voice starts talking. It's really crazy stuff. Those are the yichudim that the Arizal taught. So presumably the Baal Shem Tov's yichudim are also something similar, but it seems probably not exactly the same. One thing which the Baal Shem Tov taught, I'm not sure if this is exactly related, but could be. The Arizal taught certain kavanot for the tefillah, for the davening. Meaning, there's a word, it says, Atah Gibor L'Olam Hashem, and then you have a whole page of what that really means, and what divine names are there. It says the Baal Shem Tov, even if you know that, and you have that, all that intention, that's just a little bit. That's just, how you happen to know this Kabbalistic intention, you're having that, but the word itself contains so much. So he says, so even more important is to really get into the word with enthusiasm. Just really get into the word. Then the word itself has a power. The word itself does what it needs to do. So I mean to say, taking the focus off knowing a lot of stuff and holding it in your head, and more importantly, it's to really feel, to really be there. That's a big focus of the Baal Shem Tov. Be totally there. Put all your energy into the davening. He even said that when you daven, you should be ready to die. Every word you say. Put all your energy. If you have no energy left, then say this word. Then go to the next word. Meaning that this is this tendency of energy. It's not only about thinking. It's about being really energetic and into it. Okay, I'm just gonna finish this, and I'll say the story about how the Magid met the Baal Shem Tov, which also has to do with this. And I asked Mashiach, when are you coming? This you probably heard. Okay, now, he says, this you should know this. When your fountains should go outside, and many people will learn what you've taught. When they also will be able to do yichudim, the unifications and aliyot and ascensions of the soul like you, and then all the klipot will be gone, and then there'll be a great salvation. So yichudim is a mental. Why dafka that? So why yichudim? In short, I think what you can explain it is that in our world, we're built into a world of separation. That's all. Everything's about separation. It's us and it's God. There's up and there's down. And the highest level of connection was when all of a sudden things become one, and the created and the creator somehow are one. And And this is like it's like jumping above reality, above the physical reality. It's like seeing what's really going on. And Baal Shem Tov Torah sort of to hold on to these thoughts even while going around this world and doing all types of things. That's the unification. That's feeling that this physical world is united with infinity. That's what's called the yichud. Then the continuation, it says, Hashem said that he was very upset about this. He said, how could it be? How long it will take a very long time, says Hashem, till people will be able to do what I do. That's it would be out there. And then he says that he taught me three divine names which will make things easier. But he doesn't say what they are. Like this, that part's left out. He said, because I said, I'm not allowed to tell you what it is. So it's sort of a funny part of the story. He tells them the secret, but he's not allowed to tell others. But anyways, then he finishes off the letter and he says, my student, please remember to always be thinking about God and wherever you are. When you're davening, and please know that that's a great joy in heaven every time you do that. That's more or less, in short, the letter.
Doesn't explain who the Mashiach is.
Doesn't say who it is. No. And
so that implies the Mashiach is already here.
He's someplace. He doesn't. It's not. What he's describing is not a physical place, but yeah. But it's interesting because this letter sort of says one day. There's no urgency here. It's like it's a lot of work to do. A lot of people have to become very high level.
It's almost 400 years ago.
No, not 400. It's 250.
Oh, all right. That's 20.
Yeah.
That's so long.
Yeah. So I also want to mention the story of the Magi, the Mezrich, or the Dov Ber of Mezrich. Before he met the Baal Shem Tov, he was a big Rav of the town, very big scholar and big Kabbalist also. And there's various versions about how he actually ended up going to the Baal Shem Tov. Some say because he had a bad leg and he went for healing, whatever it is. But the story goes that he went to the Baal Shem Tov for Shabbos. That's what he used to do. In Europe, all stories of people go for Shabbos for the tzaddik. And the Baal Shem Tov, every meal, the Baal Shem Tov was telling these stories about horses and the market, and then he bought hay for that much money, and then we went to the other town. The coachman did this, and the coachman did that, and the Baal Shem Tov had some sort of meaning behind the stories, but the Bagad was getting very frustrated by all this stuff, like it's Shabbos. This is anyway. So after Shabbos, he told the coach, his coachman, he said, "Okay, we gotta leave." So the guy said, "Okay, we'll wait till the moon comes out. We'll have more light, and we'll leave." So in the meantime, the Baal Shem Tov calls him, and Baal Shem Tov is sitting there, has a big cape on, and he's sitting with a Kabbalah sefer, like a very obscure, esoteric Kabbalah sefer. And he asks Reb Dov Ber, says, "Do you know what this means?" So he takes the book and he explains what it means. So he says, "Okay, that makes sense." I said, Now I'll tell you what I say." And he starts reading it. And as he's reading it, like it becomes real in the room, and like he's talking about these angels, and it feels like the angels are in the room, and the room's full with this unbelievable intensity, and like he's fainting, and so now he understood, like this is the difference, It's not just about like understanding what the words say. It's actually about. It's like it's that episode that it became a discussion. It's interesting. I think the Magid doesn't have quotes from the Baal Shem Tov so much. if I'm not mistaken. So his, the Maggid seemed to be the continuer of the way, but it's not so much in particular statements. It's more of something intangible, which anyway.
So I'm not clear about how. So who were his followers, or
Who is Baal Shem Tov?
Yeah.
So Baal Shem Tov had quite a few followers.
like thousands?
Not thousands, no, definitely not thousands. Dozens, maybe 100. So list some of the famous ones is Yaakov Yosef. There's Maggid of Mezrich. There's somebody called Rebbe Yevi. This wasn't as famous. There was the Ma'ari Naim, the first Chernobyl Rebbe, which is actually, maybe we'll get a chance to look at it. Torah is very similar in style to the Baal Shem Tov. And there was Pinchas of Karvitz. Pinchas of Karvitz. He was really, really special. He was on his own rights, even before he met the Baal Shem Tov, a big leader. But he wasn't into this whole thing of Hasidic courts. There were different styles. Therefore, it never developed a
Hasidic court. Did the Baal Shem Tov have
No, not really. Not really. It probably started with the Maggid, where people came for Shabbos, and then, but also, people say that the Baal Shem Tov was, for the masses, but it's not exactly like that, because all these people, were very, very high level of learning. But it could be true. The message was a message that was able to touch a lot of people, but his immediate students are big scholars. Anyways, there's more to talk about. We'll continue it next time, to be continued. Yeah, mama, yeah. Wait,
Overturns a lot of ideas.
Oh yeah. Okay, so let's talk about it tomorrow. Oh yeah, mama, yeah, mama, yeah, mama, yeah. Oh, you should get a little Ukrainian feel, like chilly winter.
Is that a Baal Shem Tov leader?
It's a Chabad name.
Or a Baal Shem Tov leader?
There are Baal Shem Tov leaders. I forget offhand, but even look in YouTube, you'll see that there's one or two or three. Anyway, thank you.